What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets, powered by FTN. I'm your host, Chris Meaney. Thanks, as always, for taking the time to hang out. Happy Monday. 13 games around the diamond today. So I wanted to bring in our MLB guru, John Laghezza. You can give him a follow on Twitter at MLB Moving Average. I'm sure you have crossed paths with him lately. If you've been watching this show, we did a couple team previews. We've been having some fun earlier in the year. Well, earlier in the draft season, John, talking underdog. And you have your show, Corked Stats, FTN. I listened to you on the weekend, man. You are a hoot. You had me in stitches. You were running through game by game, which was awesome information. It was fast paced. It was quick. And that's how I like my information. I want to listen to a podcast. It's about 20 to 30 minutes. You were running through all the games. You had some quick hit analysis, and your picks were spot on, man. Check out ftnbets.com. John and I giving picks daily over there. You're also doing a show over at the Mayo Media Network, which I believe you had a fantastic debut over there as well. So I know you're busy. Monday, everybody's setting their lineups, waiver wire ads, lots going on here. We got some early action. We're going to run through quickly, kind of recap what happened over the first couple days in Major League Baseball, look at some of the most added players and then also take a look at maybe a couple plays a little bit later on, late night stuff. So I know you're a busy guy. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Oh, of course. Yeah, thanks for plugging all the stuff. It's really so much fun. I'm just in my element doing that. You know, it's not something you could fake, right? And it's kind of me in a nutshell. And yeah, that's kind of the way I like it too. The laughs, I try and get the laughs while we're working. You know, I'd rather not stop to joke. It's really not a lot of nonsense for me, who's kind of a giant goofball. But yeah, thank you for the pumping. Yeah, it's been so crazy, man. I'm having a hard time keeping up with my own stuff. I'm going around the clock right now, you know.
I was just talking to producer Tino. We were chatting about just this time of the year, and I know it's still tough times for everybody out there, and I hope everybody is safe and with their families and whatnot. But this time last year was very difficult, especially if you were a sports fan. You know, everything in real life aside, it's very important, but for people who are a sports fan, I mean, this is the time of the year that is just so awesome. And we have Masters this week. Somebody's going to win the NCAA championship tonight between Baylor and Gonzaga. We got hockey playoffs around the corner, NBA playoffs around the corner. You know, baseball is here. So it's exciting times. There's lots happening over at FTN. And yeah, man, let's just recap baseball because it was a crazy few days. I mean, we have the Astros 4-0. I talked about them being road dogs for 2 of the 4. And last season, road dogs just in general in the postseason, the first 2 rounds, which they got through. Baltimore 3-0. I believe the Red Sox 0-3 at home to start the season for just the second time in franchise history. Crazy. But not unexpected, I don't think, as, you know, the Red Sox offense was quiet, which is unexpected, I suppose. Guys are wearing ski masks to start the season. It's cold. They're not hitting. But the pitching is not great. The Astros, I mentioned, 4-0. Phillies 3-0. Braves 0-3. And then, and this is close to home because I'm a bit of a homer here when it comes to the Angels, but Shohei Ohtani last night, like how cool was that, man? To throw the fastest pitch of any starting pitcher this season, 100.6 miles per hour, and the hardest home run of the season by any player as well, 115.2 miles per hour exit velocity. I mean, that was so cool to watch last night.
I hope people are trying to maybe absorbing this for what it is. And I don't think your like emotions are misplaced as being a homer. This is phenomenal.
Right.
This is not even once in a generation. This is once in a century. This is Babe Ruth type stuff.
Yeah.
And Babe Ruth is legend. You know, 100 years later, quite literally 100 years later, right? 21-21. Yeah, what we're seeing is amazing. And I hope people are appreciating it. I couldn't believe it when I saw him on the hill dealing like that. And then the way he's in the box and he looks very good. He's got such control of the zone that he looks like a pitcher that, I mean, it's weird. He looks like a hitter that's learning from his pitching and a pitching that's learning from his hitting, right? Because you're, as a pitcher, trying to deceive hitters and vice versa. So being able to be elite on both sides of the ball might be like a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. Man, that MVP ticket you have looks awesome. That
Dude, you know what he is today? He's 14-1 today.
From
using
50, from 50 to 1.
50 to 1. Yeah, and it's in the FTN bet tracker. It's there. We talked about it on Mayo, the Mayo Media Network.
You showed it. I saw it. I see it, man. You're the man.
It went from 50 to 30 to 20, and then today, of course, with the buzz and the home run, and then the strikeouts that he had. He's 14-1 PointsBet. He's 14-1 FanDuel. William Hill has him at 12-1. So let's
Wow.
not get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, health is a big thing when it comes to Ohtani, but this is what you and I talked about. Just the fact who can give you a bomb in the second inning. And then also, I mean, so close to the W. It was a weird ending for him. He started to lose control. I respect Madden for wanting to keep him in there. And that goes to show watching that game was, okay, there's not a short leash, not crazy short leash. He still got to 90 plus pitches. If there were a short leash, he would have taken him out right away when he started to lose a bit of command and the walks were spotty. He overthrew a pitch when he was trying to pick somebody off at first. It kind of unraveled for him at the end. He got the strikeout, but it was a pass ball. And then the collision at home plate where it looked like he hurt his ankle, but everything is fine there. But just, what you talked about, generation, like we just haven't seen this kind of stuff before. And if he comes away with, I don't know, flirting with 20 home runs and a 270 average, he can run. He's already got a stolen base. He's got a homer, a stolen base, RBIs driven in. He's got 7K. It's crazy.
He's a 9 category player,
We've
never really had that before. 9. I'll tell you what, the way it's going right now, he might even get you a save before October gets here.
Yeah, he may. So I don't expect him to be in the lineup
Madden,
tonight.
Right? Yeah, if he's on a throw day, and the Angels are in a critical spot, I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
No, I wouldn't be either. And you could see, and Madden said it too when they interviewed him throughout the game and they were talking about him. And Madden had said, obviously some nerves, anxious. The first inning control wasn't really there, but as soon as he hit that home run, it almost felt like it calmed him down a little bit. And then from then he was just jacked and
helping your own cause, man, right?
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. So let's we started off with that, but here's a couple other guys. I'm just using one of my Yahoo leagues. I know we both play in some NFBC leagues and whatnot, but I'm just taking a look at the hottest hitters and, small sample size, but let's bring them up. Why not? So number one in one of my settings that includes, runs, hits, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, total bases, on base percentage and average. So not your typical standard league, but Kettel Marte, number one player overall, 2 bombs. Eric Hosmer, couple bombs. Number 2, Nick Castellanos, right? We had a little bit of heat between Castellanos and Yadier Molina. That was fun. Number 3, Yermin Mercedes. Are you kidding me? Starts his MLB career with 8 hits, 8 for 8.
Wow.
Crazy stuff, and some injuries inside the White Sox lineup. So it looks like he's going to be getting an opportunity to play. He hit 5th yesterday against the Angels. Whit Merrifield, Alex Bregman, you and I chatted before we got on. Corey Seager, Michael A. Taylor, couple home runs. What's going on there? Joey Gallo, and then Michael Brantley. A couple other guys that, could be available in leagues. We'll get your thoughts, but one guy, Jared Walsh, a couple home runs yesterday. I said before, we're talking to Joe Pisapia, that this may be a guy that gets a lot of playing time. I know Pujols is in the last year, and he's going to get his at bats, but Walsh he's got more upside at this point than Pujols has. But 2 bombs, back-to-back starts, had a triple the other night as well. What do you make of those players that I said who have been hot starts and they're top 10 players in fantasy right now? What do you make of those guys?
All right, and it's not to name bias here, but there is part of that because again, we did a lot of analysis coming into the season, and we don't want to throw it away too quickly. And I think it's more about track record at this point, maybe. So one player named Kettel Marte, he was a stud, and I feel like he was, let's say, unfairly punished for 2020. Now he looks like he kind of picked up from 2019. So I feel like that's a place where you can feel very confident that continuation can happen. Somebody like Michael Taylor, I know sounds like the other side. I only know this, and I'm taking the loss on this really because a friend of mine who I partnered with, I'm trying to learn how to partner in fantasy, was talking about Michael Taylor and a swing change and playing time with cost, all things I talk about in combination, and him thinking that he made a good kind of last round pick, right? Don't get me wrong. And
sure, I
was like, nah, he's kind of a career jag, just a guy. And I don't really think you're going to get much of anything. He feels like a placeholder. And I was wrong. He looks really good. So I think he's another good example where, all right, we're not going to drop any superstars for Michael Taylor just yet. But if you have a roster spot, you should roster him and monitor what's going on, right? If you can identify tangible changes and those turn into results and then those results stick, That's what we're into. We don't care what he used to do if the new player has made an improvement. So I think the long answer is everyone is probably a case-by-case basis, but I'm really not ready to overreact, right? We had a ton of aces, kind of get smoked week one.
Yeah.
I'm okay. It is what it is. That's okay. And we've had some hitters not hit yet, and that's okay too. So I think for me, what I like to stress is without overreacting, I do like to be active in my waiver moves. So it's weird. They're even there, Chris, is a bit of a balance, right? Where the players that I'm not married to, as far as track record and price, I want to be churning because you just might get something to stick. Is Yermin going to stick? I don't know. But I know myself and a lot of other people thought that was going to be Andrew Vaughn we were talking about.
Yeah.
Who might have been hitting fifth and doing all this damage. And he's like hitting ninth, and we're hardly seeing or hearing much about him. So case by case basis, and price for me is number one because a lot of, let's say the majority of the market is not going to chase these people. And that kind of opens up a window to buy low. And if you buy low and you miss, you can always replace them. The problem is paying up for this, right? If you paid up for Taylor and he fizzles, you made a mistake. Or if you paid up for Yermin and he fizzles, you made a mistake. But to buy low and churn is perfect. So I like that you're identifying these guys even early on. And because that could be the window to identify who made a change, who's being more patient, right? Who's got the in-zone contact rate up, the things that are disciplinary or inherent to player skill and not results.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it with the playing time. This is a guy obviously who hasn't had a lot of it, but in Washington there were spurts, right?
Yep.
Coming in most time for a defensive replacement here and there. But you look at the 2018 season, he had 385 plate appearances, 6 homers. Homers not really his thing, even though he had 19 the year before, over 432 plate appearances. But the stolen bases too, right? We know how scarce it is, and 24 stolen bases that year, 17 the year before that, 14 before that, 16 before that. So this is a guy who has racked up some stolen bases over the course of his career, and it looks like, to your point, maybe he's going to get 300 plus plate appearances, possibly. And the Royals are scoring runs, despite yesterday they didn't score too many runs against Lyles, which was a little strange. But
yeah, go figure. Baseball.
Yeah, go figure. Not a ton of injuries to really address, but I wanted to get your thoughts at shortstop, and then we can revisit some of what you're doing this morning and who you're adding. But Tim Anderson left that game early last night against the Angels. He was running out a hit in the first inning. It looked like a hamstring. Now he's day to day. I'm trying to find some news. I'm not seeing it. But Paul DeYoung, I think maybe you're in a standard Yahoo 12-team league ad. You're not playing an FBC where you're drafting 30 plus rounds. I think he may be the immediate ad if you need some help at short. He had 2 home runs there the other day. It's a decent lineup. He's not going to give you a solid average, but he's got some pop, and he's been hitting right around that 4-5 spot, mostly 5. I think maybe I would like to see O'Neill hit ahead of him, but that's a discussion perhaps for another day. But he's got shortstop eligibility. Jazz Chisholm has shortstop eligibility, second and short over on Yahoo. He had the 2 stolen bases there last night. Isaiah Connor Falefa has shortstop eligibility on Yahoo. Catcher as well. His ownership is slightly high, but he went yard the other night.
Yep.
Any guys that you're adding as of this morning? Like, what are you doing in Houston with Brantley being potentially out, missing some time?
Okay, first to the shortstop, You nailed the 2 guys I'm on, and for me, it's format dependency, or of course, if one's not available, then the question's kind of answered for you. So if I'm in a point league, I'm probably going to go with DeJong because of the power potential, and I think the average is going to tick up a bit. I don't think he's ever going to be a 300 hitter, but I think we could see like 270 or 275, and not the 240 some people have him pegged for. If I'm in Roto League, for me, it's Jazz. Give me that smooth guitar jazz, baby. I was a big Jazz guy. I don't know if I'm chasing Derek Jeter as like a front office dude, but I've been finding I really love everything the Marlins are doing. I don't particularly care for them as a squad, but I'm an objective, kind of very cold, analytically driven, guy. And I love what the Marlins are doing. And when they're becoming a team that when they pay attention to somebody, I pay attention to somebody. Like, they're not quite the Rays, but if the Marlins were sniffing around my players, I would want to know why. And if they're sniffing around somebody that was struggling, I want to know why, because there's probably something to be unlocked there. And Chisholm, they bought, Young on him, and everyone thought that was a losing deal when it happened. And now he looks really good. They like to run. He's stealing bags. So his career arc is not defined at all. There's plenty of upside, a lot of speed with opportunity. So if it's Roto, it's Chisholm, because you could be getting like a 30 steal guy right now, and we know those are very hard to come by. Point leagues are not as valuable, so I don't know if I'd rely on him with the lineup placement and stuff. To Brantley and the Astros, man, this is going to sound like the Big John victory lap tour when I'm the opposite of that. I just happened to hit on this one. I was worried about the Astros in general, particularly with Brantley. To be honest, I didn't think he was going to come back. So I had that in the front of my mind that Brantley was a potential to need to be replaced. So when I was digging through the Astros roster, there's not much. There wasn't much there.
No.
And I kind of stumbled on Chas McCormick, who played a little bit and he was okay. He's been pretty strong as a power speed guy in the minors. So again, me always targeting steals potentially, and the context for the Astros is very good. You could hit 9 for the Astros and be productive. He checked a few boxes. Again, I mentioned price. I'm a nefarious cheapskate, and he's going beyond pick 725, let's say. So I said, wow. At 725, power speed combo with some opportunity and a good context. And of course, the price is right. Let me spin the wheel on this guy. And it looks like he is going to be the guy as of right now. We know the Astros, man, they're funny. They don't always give young guys the opportunity. But when they get it, they can seize it. So it's very strange. Like they're kind of holding the door shut. But if you manage to get a foot in it, you could come and hang out. You could pull up a seat on the couch. They're not going to throw you out. We saw that happen with Alvarez, right? I don't want to say he's unknown, but no one really thought he was going to come right up. He skipped over Tucker, right? That was the one we were waiting for. They were holding the door closed for Tucker. Alvarez, big boy, pushed in and he made his way. And now Tucker is here. So they're going to be running with a U squad. I think McCormick has some serious upside, and no one, I don't think, has heard of him. So there's some real potential there to be had, right? That's always the key, Chris, to jump on these guys. If we're talking FAAB, where he costs you 1% or 0.5%, $5, rather than if he steals 3 bases and hits even 3 doubles for the Astros, he's going to cost 13% come Sunday, right? So being in front of the market is always part of the calculus here. So, I think those are the guys I'm rolling with this week.
Yeah, I like it. And another Astro down there, again, owned in NFBC leagues. And I'd like to just think that we have the people that are watching this show play in some standard Yahoo leagues and whatnot. So hopefully these players, can help you out. He's definitely one that would be available across the board. I mean, you were all over it in your drafts, but you're a sharp dude. Yuli Gurriel is another guy who last year was a bit of a mess, but the year before that was strong, was solid, and he had a great weekend as well as another guy who is one of the most added players. Let's switch gears. I still want to get your thoughts on a couple other guys that you're picking up, but let's just talk about some of the guys that have been dropped and patience, especially early on. It's going to probably shock you when I give you the top 5 players who have been dropped in your standard Yahoo leagues and even in ESPN league, CBS, whatnot. Number 1, and keep in mind, I watched the first game of the Red Sox and the Orioles, and you were, again, spot on about John Means. Wow, he looked awesome.
Yeah, he did.
It was cold. It was super cold there, and it was cold all weekend in Boston. Dudes are wearing ski masks, right?
Yeah, Verdugo is fully
warmer
covered.
weather.
Yeah.
Verdugo is one of them, by the way, the 7th most dropped player in Yahoo. Bobby Dalbec, number 1. Joc Pederson, number 2. Andrew Vaughn, kind of just touch on it, number 3. Josh Rojas, number 4. Christian Walker, and then Verdugo, Eduardo Escobar, who had a rough year last year. Kyle Schwarber, who's yet to play. Hunter Dozier, Austin Riley, Aaron Hicks.
That's like my add now list
on those guys, right? You gotta have some patience. We're not even a week into the season.
That list speaks to the patent absurdity of the masses. And it also speaks to the ability to gain edge with patience and just paying attention. Wow. I'm shocked. Again, Chris, you and I, you kind of mentioned it with the NFBC thing, not to say that equals sharpness, but when you do kind of involve yourself in high stakes leagues and deeper leagues, it's generally because you're paying more attention, right? It's just a function of the other. So I do have my 12-team home league, And man, I'll tell you, those guys are not getting dropped in my home league.
No.
Frankly, I'm a bit surprised. They're not getting dropped in my home league.
Who's the one guy you would hang on to and tell people, like,
Dude,
listen,
all of them. Just give every one of those guys. Every one of those guys. I loved Dalbec coming in. However, we spoke about it. I was drafting him. It's funny. I was actually drafting him earlier than I wanted to because I wanted him so badly to put him on my bench, knowing the public hated Eric Hosmer, drafting Hosmer. So I have like the Hosmer-Dalbec pair on everywhere. Hosmer kind of has come out of the box super hot, making me very smart there, and I'm sitting on Dalbec. I wouldn't be dropping him. No. I mean, listen, if we're talking shallow benches, I could see where he would be a player that does get dropped.
Sure.
Man, there were a couple names on that list that were hard no's.
Yeah, Joc Pederson. I mean, Joc Pederson doesn't have a hit yet.
Not. You're not dropping Joc Pederson right now. You have to add him right now. If someone dropped him in his league, and I think small bowl spinning, you talk to smart people like Chris, and this is what happens. You end up hearing good points you have to talk about. You have to, I think maybe more important than seeing who was added, Chris, is seeing who was dropped.
Right. Yeah.
That is my favorite place to go shopping is the drop list.
Yeah. People
because range drops are real. Schwarber, wait, he hasn't played yet, right?
He hasn't played yet. Dude has zero plate appearance.
Like, if you're going to drop a 14th round hitter who hasn't played yet, you're probably doing something wrong. Or you're chasing Michael Taylor and dropping Verdugo, which I don't think is a good idea. I like Taylor, but he should have been a bench player and should have been swapped for the active player, not as a drop. Verdugo, I think it's coming. I think there's runs to be had there. I think he's going to be fine. To that Boston-Baltimore series, that may have been the worst series to overreact to.
Right.
When that Mountcastle ball with bases loaded didn't get over the monster.
That's gone.
I was like, that's a shot put. They're playing with a shot put right now. There was a ball also, I forget who hit it to center, that Verdugo at one point kind of stopped, when they do that shoulder shrug and just like look up turning. And then it kind of died in his glove. Like you could see him kind of be like, oh, no chance at that. Wait a minute. And you could physically see the outfielders noticing the ball not carrying. So I would not react to that, and I'd be scooping up all the trash. Yeah.
So according to reports, I guess I kind of get the Schwarber thing, but I would imagine it's I think you nailed it perfectly. Like just short, small leagues, like 10-team leagues. I get it. I totally understand. But 12 patience. I mean, Dalbec is a guy that a lot of us liked. He tore the cover off the ball in spring. He's not going to be able to carry that over, but he doesn't have a hit yet. Verdugo doesn't have a hit yet, but I would be patient. Right. I still think it's a lineup that's going to score some runs. But for Schwarber, I don't want to speculate, but according to some reports, Washington Post saying that potentially Washington could be without Schwarber, Josh Harrison, John Lester, and Alex Avila early this week. Now, they're set to play tomorrow. Their game again today postponed. So their first 4 games postponed, but they are set to play tomorrow. So I know COVID is running through their team, so that could potentially be part of it. But I would be patient. You're not going to win your league in the first week.
Right.
But you could lose it in the first week by dropping some of these guys who have some crazy potential. So just be patient. One of the most added players, actually it is the most added player. It's a pitcher. And do you have any guesses? He pitches in
I feel like you
Toronto.
Might have mentioned him. I think
19,000 ads from the Blue Jays.
Wait, ads from the Blue Jays?
Merryweather.
Oh yeah.
People are dishing out money for Merryweather this morning.
I gave quite a few analysts, very good analysts, an earful already over that today because I thought that was misplaced. I understand the need for saves. I do not understand allowing, I'm going to use the wrong word, but allowing some type of hysteria to drive these prices. He's not like the anointed shutdown closer of the Blue Jays. They were kind of in fact, I believe both were situational. One was extra innings where Romano got the critical look. Yep. So that is the last thing we want to be overpaying for. The second instance was the top third of the Yankee lineup, which is the most vaunted third anywhere in the major leagues. And what I'm getting at is that being the specific extenuating circumstance that would have a manager pull the closer for an inning early, something we've covered before, which is I am still treating the Blue Jays as a one-horse town, and it's not Merryweather, it's Romano. So that story is going to be told. I will concede a timeshare, perhaps, but I am in no way selling or dropping Romano
No.
at all. And I would actually add one more. If he's dropped, you snag him immediately, because if he leads, let's put it this way, I would not be surprised if he finishes with 75% of the Blue Jays saves.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. It was just, again, weird weekend. Guys are not stretched out.
Right.
Aces were getting rocked.
Oof.
Not a lot of aces picked up wins, or starting pitchers for that matter picked up wins, and not a lot of just marquee closers picked up saves yet. I mean, Melanson's got 2, Castillo's got 2, Valdez for the Orioles. I mean, did you watch him come in? And his fastball is like 84. It was so strange to see a closer come in, get it done, but he was just really throwing off the Red Sox hitters with some of his off speed. He's widely available in leagues, and then Merryweather in there as well. It's just, I know that that's going to be a big topic this year, John, is closers and finding saves.
Yeah, I spoke to the guys at Triple Play about this, and man, it's weird. The game is evolving and the game is changing. So it's our responsibility to stay our eyes forward and not back. And where I'm getting at with this, Chris, is I think the landscape has changed. So what I mean is there are more split roles than ever. There are more 50% opportunity guys than ever. So what that tells me is don't really leap from one to the next, because it's costing you FAAB and maybe even costing you a guy that may stick. I guess I would make the caveat for skill upgrades. So I would churn to upgrade skills. I would not just churn for more perceived opportunities. Merryweather is a perfect example of this. That's a whipsaw. That's a knee-jerk reaction. And even if he were to get the next 2, it's still, I feel like the move yesterday, overpaying, was a knee-jerk reaction. You know, if you went, I saw people going 30, 35% or north of that in their FAAB.
Oh,
I'm not doing that.
I saw almost 500 $500 in an NFBC.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That's half your budget.
If Rosenthal were out for the season and you wanted to pay back for Diekman, thinking that was a, full-time, full role closer, then maybe that's a discussion we can have. I still wouldn't pay that much for it, but at least that's a discussion we can have. The Merryweather thing, I think, is purely flawed. And it's people reacting. We're 3 days in. People feel like I'm last in saves.
Yeah.
You're looking at it wrong. You need to, assign a bench spot for churning, with the sole intention of being 2 or 3 weeks early on everybody. I'll give you a good one right now, Chris. While everyone was chasing Merryweather, I added Kendall Graveman everywhere for $3.
Nice.
Because I didn't want to lose to the $1 and I didn't want to lose to the $2. And I told myself, the way I always do with bidding, I am the person who sets the price. The market may determine the closing price. I determine my entry price, right? There are those kind of stock trading things I always bring in because they do incorporate so well sometimes. I don't want to pay $300, therefore I will not pay $300, and you can't make me nana boo boo. And people who, but there are people who set their FAABs on Wednesday, and then without any action happening, it ticks up. And I've heard these stories. Every hour they go back and look at it, and they always move it up. And I'm thinking, why is this? And my counter to them is, don't do that. But I don't like to just tell people not to do something. I like to offer an alternative. My alternative is, don't fill it out until you're ready to commit. And that's what I do. And it doesn't make it right. But if you notice, Chris, I'm very process oriented. So that disallows proactive and subjective reaction. You know what I mean? These emotional knee jerks. So I may not be correct, but one thing I can guarantee you is, by the time I've set a price, I have put a lot of thought into it and I believe in it. And I'm willing to lose at that price. And then 2, I don't get sucked into these weird bidding wars. So I think there's a lot there, as far as FAAB skill, right? And like mindset there.
Yeah. And you could be last in saves, but you could also just be 1 or 2 away from being first. Like, let's not overreact here.
Yeah, right. Totally. That one big ad, the guy that sticks.
Yeah.
In past years, for me, it's the weirdest guys. It's been Luke Jackson when he was with the Braves, really good. That's and right. Pagan with the Rays, right, was really good. You can catch these guys a couple weeks early. Look for the high K rates. Look for the big chase rates. Look for the guys that smell like closers. And Graveman is one of those guys for me. I think he could end up at the job. And then if not, Chris, I feel like at the very least, I have somebody I could plug in for ratios, right? Again, always kind of thinking a few steps ahead if possible.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, let's not overreact, but I think that's part of it, right? A lot of people are panicking here with closers and saves and being so much uncertainty with some of these teams that they're just willing to overpay and grab somebody. But I think you just need to be cautious. Now, a lot of the FAAB has already run through, but people again could be listening to this and seeing him on the waiver wire. If you're not playing in a FAAB league, then it's not a big deal. You just claim them, you drop somebody, and you move on. But I think a lot of people these days are playing with FAAB. It's fun, it's awesome, it's the way to go. Everybody has a shot at somebody when they're on the waiver wire. So it's incorporate that in your home leagues next year if you haven't been able to do that. Before we just wrap up with a couple of your favorite plays for tonight, is there anybody else off the top of your head that you've grabbed this morning or that you wish that you could have had? Anyone here? I want to throw Garrett Hampson too as another guy as a shortstop, sub 40% ownership in Yahoo and ESPN. I don't know what the Rockies are doing. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. He started 3 of the 4. He's got a couple hits and a couple RBIs, and he's got some speed as well. That's in your standard 12-team Yahoo league. But in deeper formats or anything like that, is anyone else come to your mind?
Well, we mentioned Mercedes, Yermin
Yeah.
on the White Sox. I wish I had just price enforced a bit because I saw him going for lower than, again, a price I would have been happy paying for. And I think there's another little auction lesson for people is don't give up. And I kind of gave up, which is not usually in my profile. I let the UT kind of get me to that point, but that's no excuse. If there is a player that you like to add for a price that you like, you should do that. And if you lose it, you lose it. But I didn't put it in, and I kind of wish that I had. As far as again, I don't like to overreact. Let's see a couple kind of takeaways. Mine, one of them we mentioned it before the show started was anybody dinging players for public narratives is probably not doing it right. And I'm thinking about Alex Bregman. He's an MVP. He's a perennial MVP. He's a perennial MVP on one of the best offenses possible. Always guaranteed line of spot. He's playing every single day. I don't know how anybody was letting him drop past 30 and then 40 and then 50 when there were points where he's my CI, Chris, because I already had a third baseman. Maybe it was like this is just ridiculous.
Living large over there.
One of the other one was, and I kind of taking the half L on this one was Jordan Alvarez. Again, people not believing in the Astros. They did kind of trick me. And I remember we were joking about this. They kept telling us he was running, but it was like Sasquatch. I couldn't find it on video. So I didn't know if I believed it or not. But they kept telling us, and you know what? It seemed like they were telling us the truth because he stepped right into the batter's box, and the boy is mashing right now. And Jordan Alvarez is swinging the bat like a second round or third round pick, depending. In a point league, he's a first rounder. And in a roto league, he's like a third or fourth rounder, but just because he doesn't steal, there is not a hole in the profile. They're going to do everything they can to protect him. And anybody that kind of had the confidence in the skill level, right? That's kind of what I was getting at with the general point is same thing for Jose Altuve, right? So there's too many of these examples, Chris, to think it didn't have anything to do with Houston and the Astros, right? Altuve widely discarded. The Bat X loved him. And now he's hitting at the top of the lineup. He looks awesome, and he's going to be great. He looks fast, playing defense. So, yeah, it would be that.
Let's segue over to tonight. The Astros, a perfect 4-0 to start the season, as we've been talking about throughout this show. They're going to go up against the Angels, who took 3 of 4 against the White Sox. A very entertaining series. It was a lot of drama, fun to watch. So we have Luis Garcia on the hill for the Astros, and then Jose Quintana for the Angels, making his LA debut. The total here is high. I mean, it opened up, I believe, at 9. It's now 10. You use our free FTN parlay calculator, ftnbets.com. You can get it at 9.5. But I think, the play may be – I like the Astros. They always give the Angels fits. They're, again, road dogs here. They've been road dogs often to start the season. But 4.5, the team implied total at -120 over at DraftKings Sportsbook, I think is a bet that I can get behind. And Bregman was in the FTN bets tracker over the weekend. His total base prop was 0.5, and it was -110
every day,
especially against a lefty. He went yard early, and it took care of it, and I didn't have to sweat that one out. Are you on board with maybe the total here overall? Is 9.5 too high? Team implied total. Astros. What do you think about this game?
Yeah. Okay. I love the thinking, Chris, that you kind of vocalize, right? That some people just see it as it's a winner or it's a total. And I like to get a little bit deeper for people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sometimes we only like one side of it. And where I'm getting at is I'm not sure what to make of Luis Garcia, right? He's going to be going for the Astros. So we saw him start games last year and go 5 innings. There was one he went in towards the end of the year in September. He went 5 innings. He was very good. No earned runs. He had 4 Ks and only one hit allowed. So again, there goes that pitching factory argument. Everyone in the Astros seems to be good. They seem to be able to bring up a next man up.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how I feel about that because he also had appearances where he was just a reliever and only went an inning. So I don't know about the usage. And whenever I kind of have too much uncertainty, I normally try and put my wallet away. I'd rather not. But I do like the Astros offense that we mentioned. I do like them up against the lefty. And Quintana has kind of he's struggled.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's struggled a bit. And this spring that people were hoping for, like maybe not a resurgence, but just to see him sharp was not the case so far this spring. 19 innings pitched, 7 earned runs. He did have 22 Ks, but 10 walks and 5 home runs allowed. And then obviously the flip side of that, the Astros are just like killing it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'd probably be looking more towards betting on the Astros offense because right now, they're leading the league in WRC plus 162. 413 team WOBA, 966 team OPS, and it's on the back of a very strong disciplinary basket. So when you have like strong contact metrics, they have a 13% barrel rate, but you're also combining it with elite disciplinary metrics, a sub 16% K rate. They're second in the league, only behind Cleveland, an 8% swinging strike rate. The Astros are just it's juggernaut style. They're reminding me of the Dodger teams we've seen the past couple of years that didn't just mash you to death. They were on base monsters.
Yeah.
Every work counts. So if you're facing the Astros, you're in a lot of trouble. You're gonna have to be careful. And I have liked the Angels. That bullpen has been very good so far this year, Chris. 16 innings, 2.76 ERA, 1.22 WHIP, but backed up with the 3.54 xFIP, which is always good. They have induced 41% chase out of the bullpen and an 18% swinging strike rate with a 2.5% barrel rate. So the Angels bullpen is doing it. But I still think we're going to get 5. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
still think we're going to get 5 because we might get the 5 off Quintana. And let's say we only get 3 or 4. You're only a bloop and a blast away from getting it. So I like team totals with strong offenses and weak pitching, as intuitive as that may sound. So I think that's my bet. I'm not big on overs in general because I think now we need more variables to get there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they just don't strike out. It's been like that for 3 or 4 years. They just make so much contact. They're always at the bottom in terms of strikeouts and swinging strike percentage, like you just alluded to. We'll get you out of here on this. I know you've already did the early bird edition. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's fun, fast pace. You're hitting on all the games. Some great information there from a betting standpoint, and you can take something away from a season-long standpoint as well. So check out Corked Stats, absolutely free at MLB Moving Average. You can see that he just tweeted, John. Give me another game or two that you like that you have has piqued your interest here.
Man, let's see. I think I was hoping the line was going to be a little bit closer on the Dodgers. Anytime you get the Dodgers at 140 or 150, May's on the bump. I think he's got the edge on Montas. I guess the Dodgers there, but I am kind of allergic to juice. So I really hate to wreck though. I hate to recommend those. I'm really kind of fenced. I think I'm on the over with the Brewers and the Cubs. I think between Williams and Anderson, I just think they're really ugly, and the Brewers bullpen has been very bad. Granted, they have the Airbender and Hader out there, but I feel like those guys are more of your close games. This one smells like it could be like 11-6. And it's funny that, over-unders kind of stop at 9 or 10, unless we're in cores. But 5-5 is just not that crazy when the pitching is so weak. Trevor Williams is probably good for that on his own before he exits. Also, again, I hate recommending juice. I really do. But maybe you could pack the Mets and the Dodgers, right? If you're getting DeGrom versus Moore and Dustin May, maybe you could pack the both of them and you get even money. Because again, I hate to play juice. I'd rather lose on the parlay at even money and save some money than split and lose anyway because you paid juice. There's like a little bit of that math. Maybe one more for people because I've been so non-committal is let's go over in Tampa Bay and Boston.
Yeah.
The weather is going to be a little bit better. And I think the wind is going to be a little bit more favorable now, from what I understand. You got to keep an eye on that stuff. But Waka and Pivetta just smells like a meltdown coming. One of them is going to melt down. So there's 6 earned coming from one of them and probably 2 or 3 from the other one. So by my calculations, that gives us a 9 at F5, at the first 5. So I might smash the F5 over and then maybe the game over as well. I think we're going to get runs there today.
I love the F5s. I just
you think that bets, that's man. My style. Yeah,
that's your style, and you're getting me into it as well. And John's got a lot of bets. I want to on the way out here, I wanted to bring up one because I think you talked about Sheffield a bit, and obviously you're very familiar with him, Justice Sheffield. So the White Sox, they got Carlos Rodon on the hill. They've won 18 straight games against left-handed starting.
Oh yeah, they killed lefties, man.
18 straight games.
Yeah.
I know you're aware of some of these numbers, but I just wanted for the listeners and the viewers. 27 home runs against lefties, number 4. 285 average, number 2. 142 WRC plus, number 1. 376 WOBA, number 2. 238 ISO, number 1. 887 OPS, number 2. Slugging 523, number 1. On base percentage 364, number 2. Now I know Eloy Jimenez had a lot to do with that. He's not playing. Tim Anderson left early. We talked about him. He may not play today. He's a guy who's at the top of the board. Best WOBA in baseball last year against lefties. Absolutely ridiculous. But they still have some guys. And Abreu, Grandal, Mercedes is a hot bat. Robert, Moncada. Sheffield, for his career, 44% hard hit rate, 3.93 walks per 9, 7K per 9 last season. I'm seeing the White Sox here at minus 115 using, again, our free FTN parlay calculator. Is this a bet that you can get behind, knowing that they are playing Sheffield? Or I know you talked up Sheffield a little bit. He's a guy.
It's not just a blind attack Sheffield because I think he's good. I'm going to just mash in the F5 one more time because the White Sox bullpen is kind of giving me fits right now.
It's got the potential, but it has been a little shaky to start, right?
Yeah, the name value is there, and I don't think they're going to be bad, but I'm going Missouri with the bullpen, meaning you got to show me first. White Sox bullpen, Chris, 15 innings, 5.5 ERA. They only have a 50% first strike rate, and they're surrendering 2.5 home runs per 9. So flip side, the Mariners bullpen, who nobody knows anybody on it, is pitching excellent. 11 innings pitched, sub 1 whip, 7% line drive rate, a half a home run per 9. So if you think the White Sox are going to get to him, which I think they might, my worry is it was Anderson and Eloy that did a lot of that lefty smashing. Yes. So I'm not as worried. Anderson particularly is a monster. Oh, yeah. And, when he's leading off and sets the table, he's just an electric player. I think he's undersold for what he brings to a team on a per game basis. So I'm not as afraid, and I'm not auto smashing. I do like the price though. I'm wondering where I've been scratching my chin is what I want to make of the spring in regards to Rodon. Right, because I think if you're going to bet the Sox and not the team total, right? If you just believe in the offense, you should be going for the team total. If you're going to bet the team, you have to calculate the pitcher. I know some people just think like a team is going to mash their way to a money line. I generally don't take that approach. If I would have the money line, I want the edge on both sides, because if not, you could get the same 110. You can actually get better odds on the Chicago offense than you can on the team. So remember, people always kind of weigh the prices and stuff. I know it's kind of boring, and I really don't have the most fun answers. But what I was getting at, Chris, and now I'm curious, do we believe in Carlos Rodon? So going back to 2019, it's only 37 innings, but he's a 6 ERA. He has a 1.57 whip, which is atrocious. It's on the back of a 750 OPS, which is not bad. And it has a 343 BABIP, which is crazy and probably not sustainable. So there are some underlying metrics that say maybe he's not as bad as he's been. The double-digit walk rate is a concern, but he's got 11K per 9 in the stretch. So it's like for every good there's a bad or vice versa. For every kind of there's like a ooh. You listen, 11K per nine will get you out of some trouble. I often talk about the elevation baskets on a player. 40 ground ball, 32 hard hit equals 1 home run per nine. There's some good math. That's good. The on same time frame. Remember, people, 6.08 ERA is a result. 3.07 expected WOBA during that time frame. Those don't mash up. And as somebody who do my own earn run indication, a 3.07 expected WOBA is like a 2.95 ERA. Just to give you an idea of how it translates apples to apples. Now, granted, you can't take xWOBA and make it ERA. It doesn't work that way. But expected WOBA is a very good stat. It takes, launch angle with exit velocity and sprint speed into account. It's a very good stat because it's an amalgamation of many stats. So there we have a pitcher who looks like his punishment is result driven. Then he comes out in the spring, 14 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 16 strikeouts to a single walk. Carlos Rodon in the spring, Chris, looks like the ace we thought we were getting like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes.
So like if you're telling me you believe in the spring, then I'll tell you should bet the money line. If you're telling me you don't believe in the spring, this is where I was going with my 8 million word summation of this is I'm not sure I love the White Sox offense enough the way it's currently constituted, injured, against a quality left-hander in Sheffield. He made the pitch mix change also between 19 and 20. And I think that's a big part of what we saw. I think he ditched the he ditched the 4-seamer outright for a sinker. And that's a big deal. So we're not talking about like a 35 and 25 usage pack that gets swapped. We're talking about his featured pitch, the 4-seamer, 50% of the time got scratched altogether. And now he throws the sinker 50% of the time. So those are changes I like to be wary of. And to me, I'm kind of throwing away 19 because that's a different pitcher. If you were studying his game film, you're not going to see that pitch. So if you're looking for access movement and mirroring and all that stuff, you're not going to get any of that. So I'm seeing the pitcher more from 2019 and maybe more towards the end of it. So I'm not sold on the White Sox mashing him. I think that's going to be the donkey play today. I'm sorry, everyone.
Maybe the streak is over. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well,
maybe.
I don't, man, okay, yeah, I think so. I'm going to go there. I think so because I've been too non-committal that I'm going to go and say yes. Given baseball, my love for Justice Sheffield, and the Chicago White Sox injuries, and the disparity currently in the bullpen, I think the Mariners win tonight.
Well, I wish I would have talked to you before I gave the bet over at Tipico.com, okay? No, jokes aside, I think, that's why I wanted to bring that up with you because you see the line and you see the success they've had against lefties and you have a little bit of a pause. You may see it and be like, oh, I'm automatically going to smash that, right?
Yeah,
Minus 115, sure. This is a team that hits lefties so well. I saw the spring from Rodon too. I need to see it. And, obviously when it matters, but he is looking like, what was he, a 3rd overall pick in 2014?
Yeah,
he's looking like that guy. A 15.9 swinging strike percentage for his career. Very small sample size over the past couple of years, but 19.5. Yeah, good. But we need the command, right? The command is the big part. I was looking for a strikeout prop.
I think that was the big one for me. Yeah.
I was looking for a strikeout prop from him. I don't have it right now, but I would take anything over 5.5. If you saw it, I would get.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the distance.
Yeah.
I think I had that noted also. Okay, Chris. So he has not completed 4 innings since April of 2019.
It's the walks that do it to him.
But 4 innings is, that's usually
brutal.
when I give that stat, it's 5 innings or 6 innings, normally not 4. And what I'm getting at is because they haven't seen it, there's just a possibility, even if he's very sharp, he comes out after one time through the order. Yeah. So I'd probably hold off on props and stuff. Like, I don't think I would start him in DFS just yet. I'm not ready to go there.
I agree with that. Yeah. And I think he also needs to be strong because Michael Kopech is knocking on the door, right? And he looks pretty decent.
Well, he looked good. Yeah. And I'm glad, even though I was kind of off him more because of health and usage, I think he's excellent. I really enjoy when the young kind of future guys fulfill. Like, so I'm hoping he's good.
Yeah, I'm hoping he is too. Didn't see him at all last year. John, always a pleasure, man. I encourage everybody to check him out at MLB Moving Average, the host of Corked Stats. A lot of fun. And also check him out on Mayo Media Network. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck tonight, everybody, making some bets. If you have any questions, please leave them in the YouTube section. I'll circle back. Any season-long questions will be there to answer as well. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.